Meeting is called to order. We don't have any electronic participation, Madam Clerk, right?
Correct.
So we'll move to a pledge of allegiance, Dr. Lee.
Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
A motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Dr. Lee. Mr. Connor, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Gilio?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Dr. Day?
Yes.
Dr. Gupta?
Yes.
Mrs. Preston?
Yes.
Mr. DePaul?
Yes.
Dr. Tinsley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Comprehensive Literacy Network, Dr. Copeland.
Looking for Ms. Campbell and Ms. Bennett. The floor is yours
Right.
to talk about.
And Ms.
And Ms. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to take Dr. Davis's place. Since
Okay.
He's not able to be with us tonight,
I'll
so
let you start us off.
absolutely. Can you all, they're going to bring up the presentation. All right. Thank you so much for allowing us this time. This is focused on our work with TNTP and the Literacy Support Network, which is a partnership. If you would go to the next slide. Thank you. Lynchburg City Schools is lucky enough to be part of the Comprehensive Literacy Network, and it's a partnership between about 12 school divisions in the Commonwealth, the Virginia Department of Education, and TNTP, which you'll hear a little bit more about in just a few minutes. But the partnership was started by VDOE, and the focus is on implementing, helping divisions implement best practices in reading instruction. As you know, we are focused on the Virginia Literacy Act for the past several years. You all approved our literacy plan last year that we are following this year at the elementary level up to third grade. So this is focused on that work. Next slide. So TNTP is a partner, again, with VDOE, and Lynchburg, again, was one of those divisions that was lucky enough to be selected to participate in this. There are only about 12 divisions, as I mentioned, and so we are working together to implement evidence-based literacy practices that are, again, outlined in the Virginia Literacy Act. And it really is focusing on giving the participating divisions access to very strategic, very individualized support from TNTP, who is a national nonprofit. And they have significant experience in managing change efforts that accompany adoption and implementation of high-quality instructional materials. And you may have heard us talk before about HQIM. Those are high-quality instructional materials. And in Lynchburg right now, in LCS, Benchmark is that new curriculum that has been focusing on the science of reading and literacy instruction. Next slide. So the partnership is assisting us in improving our literacy outcomes, and they are providing key support in these key areas, really around strategy. So we've been working together to look at data. We've been looking at action plans about what we have done in the past and how we're moving forward. They have provided, since the beginning of January, a lot of professional learning opportunities at the division level for this team that is participating, and that includes myself, Dr. Davis, Ms. Campbell, and Ms. Bennett, and Dr. Copeland has also participated in some of that. And we are moving that forward now. They've also provided opportunities with the principals, and you'll hear a little bit more about that. But we've really looked at observations and analyzing student work. And some of these things we were already doing, but TNTP has been helping us in that collaboration of how can we make that better and how can we really narrow our focus moving forward to support the implementation of Benchmark. So again, TNTP is a nationally recognized leader in education. They use a lot of deep research and have policy expertise, and then they provide those consultants who are hands-on. They have been to Lynchburg, you'll see in just a minute, several times. We've done lots of virtual sessions, but they are really helping us, again, focus on ensuring that our students have pathways to move past education when they graduate, so beyond that. Next slide. So their approach is threefold. They use some insight by identifying challenges in education, and these insights are grounded in decades of field experience and research. TNTP's second approach is courage, and they don't have a problem that they have not been able to tackle, so they listen, they collaborate, and they do lead with courage, and I will have to say, they do listen. And we have said this multiple times, but this is, in my tenure, the very first partnership where someone from the outside, from an agency from the outside, has truly come in, has listened, observed, and provided resources and support that are truly tailored to what LCS needs. So it truly is collaborative. And then again, they're helping us take actions. So we're looking at measurable and sustainable goals that will have impact not only at the school level, but also at the division level. And this is just a little bit of their statistics, and this is gathered since 2020. So they have 6 million plus students have received stronger instruction because of their efforts. 4.5 million plus students engaged in grade-appropriate assignments. And I'm not going to read the rest, but they have had a huge impact. And we have already, in Lynchburg City Schools, seen the impact through student SOL scores this spring from the work that they've been doing with us at the school level. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Campbell. I have one more slide, sorry. Again, we are one of 10 plus divisions that were selected to participate, and we are working currently with our 5 targeted federally identified elementary schools, which you can see as Bedford Hills, Heritage Elementary, Lincoln Elementary, R.S. Payne, and Sandusky Elementary. So we've been working with those 5 schools since January. And now I'll turn it over to Ms. Campbell.
So yes, we accepted to be a part of, if you want to click on the next slide, you'll see our timeline of implementation. And we accepted this back in December, and our division team, as Amy mentioned, we've been meeting with TNT consultants biweekly. Every other Wednesday, we are doing virtual meetings with them, and they have really, truly been collaborative and supportive of the division team to help and guide and refine our goals and priorities of our division literacy plan through the implementation of our HQIM of benchmark. As you can see, in February, they were here. We did on-site visits at all 5 of our elementary schools that we are working with skill and knowledge lessons. They were here for 2 days. They came back in March. We did professional learning. We did on-site visits. We have done observations. That first one in February, we did about 30 observations. And then in March, we did close to probably 25 observations. They were back in April, came for 3 days. We did more on-site visits. This time our principals got to walk out of their regular school day buildings and went to visit other schools, and it was amazing. We were able to visit classrooms, and we also, as a division team, were able to do on-site visits. But what's really neat about it, after we've done the observations, we have debrief sessions. And the Allison French and Blake Barber are our TNTP consultants, and Allison was here on site, and we immediately talk about what we've seen in the classrooms, having the rich conversation. They were here yesterday, Allison was here, and we had just rich discussion with the principals of best practices. What are we seeing? What can we do to move instruction? So it has been very, very impactful for us. So if we look at the next slide, the VDOE, in partnership with TNTP, the VDOE created walkthrough tools, and that's to help our coherence around literacy instruction. These indicators provide clarity and a very streamlined focus for all stakeholders on the key aspects needed to deliver the high quality and standards aligned ELA and foundational skills instruction. The walkthrough tools are broken down into core actions, and under each core action are indicators that provide more information on strong instructional practices. In partnership with TNTP, our division team is using these walkthrough tools with our principals to observe instruction in real time. During our debrief and professional learning sessions, we're able to build a common vision for implementing our high-quality instructional materials across schools and classrooms. As our narrowed focus continues to strengthen, will continue to build consistency in literacy throughout the division. So we're going to take a look at data-driven action planning. And this data collection is critical in better understanding where we are with our schools and our classrooms and the implementation of our benchmark advance, our materials, and what we need to be done in order to improve that effectiveness. So now we're going to look at the data. So I said they were here in February. So they had to collect some initial data. So we went to, as you can see, we saw 30 classrooms across the 5 schools across the K through 5 classrooms. And now we're going to look at this data that was collected. So during the February observations that was centered around the ELA benchmark reading instruction, you can see that the overall ratings are broken down by each core action. So core action 1 is the lesson focus on high quality text. Core action 2, does the lesson employ questions and tasks, both oral and written, in which integrate the standards and build students' comprehension of the text? And the third core action is, are the students cognitively engaged in the work on the lesson from start to finish? If you can look at the bar graph that is up there, the division has been very successful in investing in staff to utilize our selected high-quality instructional materials, and that is benchmark. We believe that the 93% is attributed to the professional learning days that we had at the end of the school year last year in May. When we got out early, we had professional learning. We dedicated that to learning more about benchmark advance in preparation for this school year. Our next steps are to focus on refining our utilization of our curriculum in order to increase the effectiveness of our instruction, specifically our alignment to grade level standards and cognitive student ownership. So then we talked about our ELA. Now we're going to look at our foundational skills. Again, this is data that was collected. There were core actions. The 3 core actions are, first one is the lesson intentionally focused on grade level reading foundational skills? Core action 2, does the teacher make the foundational skills of the lesson explicit and allow time for student practice? And the third core action, do students practice foundational skills in a variety of ways to support mastery during the instruction? If you're looking at this data here, this data shows that we hardly had any classroom scoring in the not yet bucket for any of the core actions for foundational skills. And I would say as a division, we have been very successful with investing our teachers to utilize, again, the high quality instructional materials, and we're very proud of this work. And I would say that we are very proud because we've been using foundations since 2021. So that has been our core there to learning the foundational skills with the science of reading, and that this initial data is showing that. So again, just as before with our ELA, our next steps will be focusing on that utilization of the curriculum in order to increase the effectiveness of our instruction, and specifically with the explicit instruction and quality for our students to practice with grade level standards with our ELA.
So as Sarah and Amy mentioned before, we've been working closely with Allison to really dive into the work that we've been doing and looking very closely at what we still need to refine. So based on the data that you just observed, TNTP and the Teaching and Learning Department, we've set a spring priority that works to increase the effectiveness of our ELA benchmark instruction, while simultaneously developing our principals as literacy leaders with a common vision of excellence. Our roadmap of priorities is to work with teachers on the alignment of rigor, progression, and the suggested implementations of their questions and tasks in their benchmark lessons. We are also working with their principals to help them have a common vision as they are observing teachers for the implementation of instruction and in their feedback of their literacy lessons. So you can see that we reflected in our timeline the work that we've done makes gains on our spring priorities while simultaneously planning for the expansion for school year 25-26. Our spring priorities that we've begun working towards in April and continuing in May have already led our principals growing in their knowledge and understanding of what to look for in benchmark implementation. We're going to expand this work this summer during summer leadership and in the fall with all of our elementary and middle school principals and administrators to implement all the priorities in each of our buildings. Yeah. So we as the division team, when we go in and observe, we can see the impact of the work that we've been focusing on as we've been observing in classrooms each month. But we wanted to reflect and ask each one of our principals, the 5 principals, and get their perspective on the impact of this work so far. I'd like for you to take a moment on this slide and the next slide just to read some of the statements from our principals. We sent out a survey and asked what the impact was, and this is what they have said. So if you'll take just a few seconds and read those. Advance the slide. So as you can see, our principals have found value in their intentional and focused time spent together learning and building their capacity for best practices in literacy. Which brings us to looking ahead to the 25-26 school year. In partnership with TNTP, we've set priorities that are going to help us achieve more coherence and consistency around strong literacy instruction. Those priorities will focus on both ELA and their foundational skills for instruction. Our priorities will include coaching and feedback, collaborative planning, deepening the teacher knowledge and implementation of best practices while using our high-quality instructional materials for both ELA and the foundational skills. In order for us to reach those priorities, you can change the slide. In order for us to reach those priorities, we have our levers of change for LCS's success. And this is going to help lead towards higher levels of success. You can see in this visual that our levers of change are focused around our priorities that are set for moving our instruction forward in LCS. So in looking ahead, we have our larger goal of expanding and increasing continuity across the division in our approach to improving literacy outcomes. You can advance the slide. Our first opportunities will be to share the following objectives during our summer leadership training in June and July. We are really looking forward to continuing this intentional work next school year with all of our stakeholders. With your continued support, we foresee increasing student achievement. Thank you.
What? Questions?
Questions?
I have-
Dr. Day, go ahead.
Yeah, so is this like an experimental program statewide? Is the state intending to expand this to all divisions at some point?
I wouldn't call it experimental, and I don't think they're intending to expand it. They selected divisions based on their need for support and their willingness to participate. And so there are, as I mentioned, I think 11 or 12 divisions across the state, some as close as Roanoke and Danville. Then we've got Henrico, some as far away as Alexandria. So really focusing on that implementation. And I think we were selected based on our submission of our literacy plan that you all approved last year. So they were very intrigued with the things that we were working on, but looking at ways that they could support us to make sure that it was an implementation that is done with fidelity. And the work that we're doing in a small with a small group of principals, we focused on, as I said, those 5 elementary schools that are federally identified based on their subgroup results, because they have the most need. So we're working with them, but this summer, beginning this summer, we're taking the strategies that we've learned thus far, and we're expanding it to the other 5 elementary schools, and as well as the 3 middle schools, because we are submitting a literacy plan for 4 through 8 for this coming year. So we're going to expand that. But beyond next year, then it will be Lynchburg City Schools staff, with the help of some of the principals that are in here. I believe Ms. Anderson is in here, with some of the 5 principals and then others, to take the strategies that we have learned, then to focus next year again on literacy, and implementation, but then we can take those same strategies in the future and focus on math, right? Because we need to do that as well. But I don't believe that VDOE has the intention of doing this across the state.
Okay. I wonder if we could go back to slide 13. It's one back up. We'll keep going backwards. There, yeah. So there were 2 slides that had the data presented in this way, and I noticed on both of them that the top graphic is 85% yes. It looks pretty dramatically different from the lower 2. So is that indicative of areas where we need special concentration?
Yes, sir.
And they're helping us
Yes,
with,
sir.
to improve those numbers?
So we did those 30 initial observations, as Ms. Campbell said, in February. And so they used the data from those 30 observations, specifically looking at those indicators or core actions. And I will have to say, core action 1 is the lesson focused on a high-quality text, which the high-quality text is part of our benchmark curriculum.
Right.
And because, again, the school board last May allowed us to have a week with our teachers to do really intensive professional learning around the benchmark curriculum, which was new for them, versus having to wait until last August, we really feel like because we were able to give them that early start in May and then continue the support over the summer, and then when they came back in August, that we have that high, 80, 93% observed had, they were using that complex text, and I think it's 85% yes, and then some mostly. But that's what we're doing very well. So the other 2 are the areas that we're focusing on moving forward
Okay,
on both sides.
okay.
Any other questions, Mr.
Yeah.
Preston?
Just a couple of questions. Question number 1 is, what data was used to identify the 5 schools that you implemented this program with? And number 2 is, how are you going to expand it to the remaining elementary schools?
So our 5 schools were the federally identified schools. And so that's how we have our Heritage, Lincoln, RS Payne, Bedford Hills, and Sandusky. So that's where we started there. Our plan now, as we are looking ahead to the summer, is to start that work with the other 5 principals during our summer leadership. And that's part of what we were planning today while Allison and Gail were here from TNTP and really starting to move that work. So we're going to look toward our 5 leaders that are in the work now, and they're going to help us lead that with our other 5.
Okay, thank you.
Lowry?
And I noticed that on the same slide that Dr. Day asked about, and it talked about questions. Okay, and I know teachers in general, we ask a lot of questions anyways, but it wasn't all yes. So are you finding that the questions aren't in the curriculum, the questions aren't in their plans, the questions aren't where?
Correct. So,
Go ahead.
well,
I'm sorry.
no, go
The
ahead.
questions are in the curriculum, they're in benchmark, but what we're finding is teachers were sometimes going off, on their own and just make it, or, asking questions. They were still great questions, but sometimes the questions aren't to the rigor that benchmark had them as. And so that's where that baseline data was, started at, was what level of questioning.
So you're looking
are
for
the
more rigor in the questions, not
Yes.
necessarily questions.
Correct.
And
Yes.
specifically, are they using the questions that are in the benchmark lesson plan? So, benchmark has a lesson plan every single day, and it is pretty prescriptive, so if I'm a teacher and, I can use that lesson plan and I don't have to read it word for word, but I can then summarize, but I should be using the questions that have been developed and are part of that lesson in benchmark, because those are rigorous and they are specifically tied to the text that the students are reading on that day. So we're looking, are they using the questions that are in the benchmark lesson plan? And then as part of that, are they then allowing the students time to answer those questions? And are they allowing them time to work together, to turn and talk, to share out, those types of things? So we're looking specifically for that implementation of the high-quality instructional material, which in our case is benchmark.
So, and if they come up with a rigorous question themselves, that's allowed as well, though, right? I mean, if you find it's just as rigorous, because a lot of times we'll read, I've gone through enough curriculums to know that they have questions in there, but I can think of other questions based on the client of children I have to help them dig deeper.
And that falls into our scaffolding that we are gonna do. So as the core, they have blue text that has questions in there that we're gonna follow. We're gonna follow that rigor and progression. But then, hey, I'm not sure if this group right here, I can see that. There's some scaffolding things that I can do. And then I can start asking those who, what, when, where, why questions to
Getting them to
continue.
dig deeper.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Good. Thank you.
Very
You
well.
had a question? Go ahead.
Since the new teacher, the new teacher project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, how much are we paying for its services? And is it every year that we are?
0.
We don't pay
That's
any.
great.
We don't pay anything. It is a partnership with VDOE and TNTP. So I imagine VDOE, they have some grant money, and there's a little bit, I don't have it up, but there is some information on the VDOE website specifically about this and the funds that they received and how they are using those funds to support literacy implementation. So we are not paying anything, and this partnership and this learning piece of it is for 2 years. So this year and then next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Great
much.
job.
For all your work.
The next one is governance policy update, Dr. Copeland.
One policy agenda item for tonight is to add wording. Ms. Towns, your attorney, provided the additional wording, and it's there in the agenda item, just to be added to the one school board committee's policy.
Is there a motion to approve?
Approve.
Mrs. Lowry. Mr. Andrews. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Connor,
1 second. Yes.
Mr. Jalil,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Dr. Day,
Yes?
Dr. Gupta,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston,
Yes.
Mr. DePaul, Mrs. Laurie,
Yes.
Dr. Tinsley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
School year 2024-25 bonus, Dr. Copeland.
I'm going to ask our Chief Financial Officer to cover this topic on us.
Yes, good evening, Chairman Gupta, members of the school board, and Dr. Copeland. As you are aware, the governor has graciously extended funding for a one-time bonus in FY 2025 in the amount of $827,699. You have before you a sheet that lays out the superintendent's recommendation on what that bonus should look like for our staff. He has recommended a $750 for full-time employees and a $375 bonus for part-time employees. That equates to in consideration of school nutrition, Fort Hill, and the governor's school, that equates to a local portion of $375,000, $412.68. So we are looking for the school board, if you are amiable, to go ahead and process and approve that.
So a couple of additional details. The governor provided $1,000 per SOQ position. Okay, our SOQ positions really run about 60% are SOQ funded, 40% are locally funded. So the $827,699 was that 1,000 per employee number the governor provided. Many school divisions around us are somewhere between $750 and $1,000, depending on the amount of money that they have to support the bonus. If we were to provide the bonus at the $1,000 level across the board, we would be needing to provide a significantly much larger number. That's why my-
$768,000.
Say that again?
$768,949.
As we're coming into the end of the budget year, I feel very comfortable in the $375,000 is available in the budget to get this bonus, and this bonus would be paid out on the June 15th payday, so everybody would see it right after the end of the school year. We'll answer any questions you might have.
Is there a motion to approve, discussion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there discussion on the bonus? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Jalil,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Dr. Day,
Yes.
Dr. Gupta,
Yes.
Mrs. Preston,
Yes.
Mr. DePaul,
Yes.
Mrs. Laurie,
Yes.
Dr. Tinsley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I want to thank Delegate Walker. He's there for all your hard work in Richmond to get us this. Would you like to say a few words? Because you have worked hard for our teachers to get this.
I'll make it a few words because my wife is waiting on me to get home and fix dinner. But as always, well, first of all, thank you for all the hard work that each one of you do here for the city of Lynchburg, because I like to brag about my favorite city in which I live. I like to tell people how smart we are. Not only do we have 4 private colleges, but we're doing a lot to bring up our future generation of workers. You know, we're so blessed here with a lot of great businesses. Our young people don't have to leave Lynchburg anymore to go find jobs anyplace else. They're right here. And so education is our future, and investing in education is very important. And over the last 3.5 years under the Governor Youngkin's administration, that has been a priority, not only for the governor, but for myself, is trying to increase the teacher pay rate across the Commonwealth, even right here in Lynchburg. I wish I could say we could do more, but every teacher works very hard. We know that. We appreciate that. I send out letters of appreciation to the teachers, honor the smart kids, and this past Saturday, we honored a bunch of kids at Darrington with some bicycles. What a wonderful way to motivate people to learn. I didn't have that opportunity when I come along. When I would get up in the morning, I wouldn't feel good. My mom would always say, well, sweetheart, wait just a second. She'd come back with a fabricated board of education. And it's amazing how miracles happen, because I felt so great, I got out of bed and I went to school. And I'm glad I did. But anyway, we do appreciate everything you do on behalf of representing the city of Lynchburg and part of Campbell County. Anything that we can do to help further the funding, the education out here, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Walker.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything you're doing in Richmond. Next is informational. Thank you, sir. Next is
Can I
informational
leave
items.
now? Or do you have any questions?
We'll do questions privately later on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is informational items. Academic Success Committee, Tuesday, May 27th at 3:30. Next school board meeting, June 3rd at 5 p.m. Finance and Facilities, June 10th at 3:30. Discipline Data Review Committee, June 12th at 3:30. LACR, June 17th at 3:30. Next work session of school board on June 17th at 5 p.m. Academic Success Committee, June 24th and 3:30 p.m. That brings us to the next item, board report on new superintendent. I'll give the floor to Dr. Tinsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, as the co-chair of the Ad Hoc Search Committee, I want to thank the Ad Hoc Search Committee again. I want to name those people once more for all the work that they did. Of course, my co-chair, Dr. Mike Nillis.
Yes, sir.
Letitia Lowry, here on the board. Colleen Larkin, Tim Beatty, principal over at Heritage, Danny McCann, and Megan Lucas. And so I just want to thank them publicly again for all their work. Dr. Gupta, Dr. Day, thank you for all the work that you all did behind the scenes to help support the Ad Hoc Search Committee, particularly here in these final days. I really appreciate all that. Ms. Day, I mean, it couldn't have been done without you.
Yes, sir. A whole lot of
She was the logistics hub of everything.
Yes.
Attorney Hope Towns for all of her advice and guidance. And of course, the rest of the board and all the work that you all did. I just want to go through the timeline of events to kind of sum it all up. I was giving updates each month at the public meetings, but for the public's sake, I want you to see the work that was done, because a lot went into this. I don't know if you realize it or not, but September the 16th of 2024 was our first meeting of the Ad Hoc Search Committee. We discussed the committee's conduct and proposed the committee charter during that meeting. Met again on September the 30th and discussed the RFP process, request for proposals. We decided we were going to use a search committee, so we had to go through that process. That took us through October 17th, where the RFP was posted, where we solicited businesses. RFP closed on November the 1st. We had 6 search firms that applied for that. November the 6th, November the 14th, and November the 25th, 2024, we met as an ad hoc search committee to talk about the different search firms' strengths and weaknesses, so we could present that to the board. December 3rd, December the 17th, we met with the LCS board, this body here, to select our search firm that we wanted to use in the superintendent search. And that was when we selected McPherson and Jacobson. Went through the holidays and met again on January the 16th of 2025 as an ad hoc search committee, discussed the details of the search process with McPherson and Jacobson. End of that month, January 23rd, drafted a superintendent job announcement and stakeholder meeting schedule. On or about the 31st of January, the superintendent job announcement was posted publicly. You can see how long it took to get to that, but we were stepping through the process the entire time. February 3rd through the 5th, you'll remember we had the stakeholder meetings where McPherson and Jacobson came down here and talked to you all, to the public. February 12th, 2025, we received a stakeholder report from McPherson and Jacobson, which we promptly posted for the public to see. February 27th, application period closed, and we got 27 applications for the job of superintendent of Lynchburg Public Schools. March 13th, 2025, Ad Hoc Search Committee met again, reviewed the superintendent applicants on March 18th. We had a closed session of the board where we looked at superintendent finalists. On or about March 19th of 2025, McPherson and Jacobson began the background checks on our superintendent finalists. March 26th, McPherson and Jacobson concluded the background checks on the superintendent finalists and sent a report to the Ad Hoc Search Committee. On April the 1st, 2025, Lynchburg City School Board had a closed meeting where we reviewed the superintendent finalists. April 27th, we interviewed 4 of those finalists. April 29th, we had a closed session where we discussed the finalists, and the superintendent finalist was chosen. April 30th made a tentative offer to that superintendent, and we are here today, May 20th. And Mr. Chair, if you will entertain a motion.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I move that the Lynchburg City School Board appoint Dr. Christy Somerville Midget as the next superintendent of schools of the Lynchburg City School
Is there a
System.
second to that?
Second.
I got multiple seconds, so I'll, on document, Mrs. Lowry, Mr. DePaul, and Mr. Connor. Mr. Connor, there are 3 seconds.
Second, third, and a fourth.
Dr. Day, any discussion on the motion?
Well, I thoroughly approve of this motion. I guess I'd like to add that after we had significant interviews, in-person interviews with the 4 top people that we brought to town for those interviews, I think it's fair to say the board was very quick to identify Dr. Somerville Midget as our top candidate. I think we could have made that decision as soon as the 4 interviews were over. The feelings were pretty strong. She has both bachelor's and master's degrees from University of Lynchburg with an emphasis on special education. She also has a PhD from Liberty University. She began her teaching career as a special education teacher, and subsequent to that has 16 years of administrative experience in Virginia's public schools. She has served as an assistant principal, a principal, the director of secondary instruction and CTE, as an assistant superintendent, and then most recently as superintendent for the last 7 years in Brunswick County. She was recognized by the governor for leading her district to the highest growth for mathematics students in grades 3 through 8 in the 2023-24 school year. And in addition, she is a past president of the Virginia Association of School Superintendents. She impressed the board members for having dealt with several difficult situations, including a budget crisis and uncomfortable but clearly necessary personnel decisions. She has led facilities planning involving both new construction and consolidation. And moreover, she is straightforward, sincere, a quiet but strong leader who seeks to cultivate teamwork. I think we're all grateful that she has accepted our offer. She will officially start on July 1, and until then, she will be formulating her transition plan and working with Dr. Copeland as he prepares to pass the torch to her. So please join me in welcoming Dr.
We'll have to take a roll call.
Oh, we need a vote, I guess.
You wanna say it?
Sure.
Dr. Would you please
Just-
call? Go ahead. Mr. Jalil, go ahead.
Oh, I loved observing the hiring process of this board and getting the timely updates from the committee, the search committee. I saw the resume and I was impressed. I think there's a lot of good that will come from this decision. I only did not like one thing, which was the decision of having the interviews on a Sunday, early morning till afternoon or late evening. And because of that, I was not going to stop the ministry that I had already previously committed to. So I did not attend. And I want to make that note.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Jalil?
No.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Dr. Day?
Yes?
Dr. Gupta?
Yes.
Mrs. Preston?
Yes.
Mr. DePaul?
Yes.
Mrs. Laurie?
Yes.
Dr. Tinsley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now, will you join me in welcoming Dr. Somerville Majette?
Thank you.
Dr. Somerville Vijay, our new superintendent for Lynchburg City Schools. Mrs. Lowry, would you please come? Mrs. Preston.
I'm gonna step out of the way.
I was
Let y'all do what y'all want to do.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Good to see you in person, yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Midget, floor is yours.
Oh, awesome. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
I am so excited to be here. I did prepare a few remarks, and I'll just start there. It is truly an incredible honor to be here before you tonight as your next superintendent for Lynchburg City Schools. I just want to begin by sincerely thanking the school board, the search committee, as well as, and I recognize Dr. Tinsley was sharing we were listening outside, all of the people that were part of the committee. And I just appreciate the confidence in me, the thoughtful, the thorough approach to this entire process. I appreciated the tough questions, the honest dialogue, and the clear commitment that you all have for doing what's right for the students here in Lynchburg City. The candor and care that you brought to this process, it said so much about what matters to you. And I'm grateful to be a part of a community that holds schools at such a high standard. But for me, this is deeply personal. I'm a proud graduate of Lynchburg College, which is now University of Lynchburg. I recognize the change. And Liberty University. I completed my student teaching right here in Lynchburg City Schools at Perrymont Elementary School and Easy Glass High School. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to teach at Easy Glass and the Lynchburg Detention Center. And I really had the privilege of learning how to support students, and particularly in their most vulnerable moments. And I've worked with some of the best educators that I have in my entire career. This city, the school division, it shaped me as a teacher, as a leader, and as a person. And tonight, I truly return to you with gratitude, a sense of purpose, excitement, and I'm committed to serving the students in the community that helped me build the foundation of my career. So as I prepare to officially begin in July, I look forward to listening, meeting with our students, our families, our faculty and staff, our business partners, elected officials, and all other civic leaders in this community, because I do believe the strength of our schools is deeply connected to the community for which we serve, and we all will continue to move forward together. So just thank you again for just welcoming me home, and I'm so ready and excited to get started.
We'd love to have you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and then we'll open up, if you'd like to meet anybody here in this town, right? Is that Dr. Day?
That's fine with me.
Right. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Floor is all